Wait, you guys can see me? That's so embarrassing, actually, if you guys can see me. Okay. I can't see what you guys can see. Oh, you can see my lamp. Thank you. I actually got that lamp in line at Home Goods, and the person in front of me thought I was buying it as a joke, but I always wanted one of those monkey lamps. But most of them hold the light bulb, and I didn't like the way that that looked, and I felt like it didn't look put together. So I told him that I was buying it for me because it matched my chair, and said some other weird stuff because I have a way with word vomiting. So thank you guys for being here, and I'm sorry that I was delayed. I was working on settings for a second, and I'm old. Not really. I feel old. But this is my first live, and I have been encouraged to make my own content through doing a bunch of super chats and sending my research to other people. And then Allie from Allie Top Files has really encouraged me to make my own content as well. And we have a group of people that I don't call them all by their first name, but we have someone named Grace, Mandy, and Tree, and Marsh, and some other people that we all work with. So thank you for being here. And thank you for liking my lamp too, Mandy. I have a monkey statue. Oh, yes, I love those statues. So today I have a PowerPoint put together of some things that I found that I think are interesting. And I am just getting into the swing of things, so it's probably going to be a little bit rough, but bear with me. So I'm going to start sharing what I have. Okay, so I really like stalking. And when I say I really like stalking, not in the sense that what you probably think as a stalker, but when a lot of my friends, when we were growing up, social media became a really big thing. Instagram was a thing that came out when I was in high school. So this is going to sound really nosy, but if you're from a small town and there's not a lot going on, someone changes their last name on Facebook to their middle name, or someone deletes their husband from their Facebook. And my friends and I very quickly became sleuths, where I would find weird things out about people all the time. And I just kind of found it to be a game because there's not a lot going on where I live in the middle of nowhere. So yeah, yes, I mentioned you, Mandy. So this whole thing with Charlie Kirk has been something that's been really heavy on my heart. My scene 2, check your OBS scene for 2 audio inputs at once. Okay. Can you guys hear me twice? Her lamp has BB. I do. It has one nation under blackmail and then BB's under it. And I put a lot of thought into that because that's kind of what got me into the Charlie Kirk thing. Okay, it's delayed. Let me check real quick. Audio. I feel like there was a delay setting. Sort of an echo, like there's 2 inputs set up. Okay. Transition. Okay. Is there still an echo? I don't know how to turn the echo off. I'm trying. A little, but it's not too bad. Mic and audio. Okay. Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm going to have to live with that because I am not a professional, and I will move the mic away from myself a little bit just in case that is what's causing the echo. Oh, okay. I was just too far away from the mic. I will put it so close to myself, Mandy, that there is no echo. I'm just joking, and that looked so silly. Okay. So I did a lot of stalking of all of the people involved in this, and the reason that I felt so perplexed about this is I watched Candace and I watched Barron, and I would find other things that I found really interesting. And there was one thing that really stuck with me, as I feel like we keep seeing a lot of symbolism, and I found it through some things with the Wayback Machine as well. So honestly, it sounds the best when you're almost eating it. Okay, I will put the microphone right here and talk the entire time. I'm joking. Okay, I'm going to move so that eat the mic. I don't think that that is actually a good idea. Let me move my mic a little bit because I think that I can move it to be better so that it's okay. I'm gonna have to edit all of this out of here because that looks horrible. Okay, we're gonna, oh nope, moving my table. There's so much going on right now. Okay, I like the shark in the middle of the O. Oh, thank you, Allie. Agreed. Eat the mic. Okay. Is this good? Now you can't see my cute monkey, but I will change it all next time. And now the microphone is in front of my face, so that's even better because I don't like being on camera. Pulling a Baron. Oh, I feel honored that you just compared me to Baron. So I really like Baron and Candace, as I was saying. And I have continued researching based on them and based of encouragement of the group that I'm in. And the people of the group that I'm in are on this live stream for the most part. I think actually almost every one of them. And they are amazing. So sucks to suck if you're not in there. And I feel bad for you because we have a good time. And I spam them all day. Okay, so some things that I'm going to talk about today. Oh, my camera just moved. That is so awkward. Hold on. Let me freeze it. I have one of those EMET cameras and it moves a lot. Okay, I think I froze it. But some things I am going to talk about today are, I'm glad that I can give you guys entertainment. I'm embarrassing myself. So Allie had spoken a lot about Heber City, Utah, and she actually just put out a video about it that I also think relates to this. So I have a clip that will play in just a second, a few minutes of her video. And the topics I'm going to touch on is a photograph I found, how Heber City kind of goes into this, Romanian angels, which is a thing we've heard a lot about with Erika Kirk and everyday heroes like you, and how I think it actually relates to something that's very similar to the Illuminati, but it's called the Daughters of Rebecca, and it's under the IOOF, or the Orders of Oddfellows, which I found to be really interesting based on the symbolism that we'll get into. So this is a guy that I found in the Wayback Machine, and this is kind of how this whole thing started. And I actually woke my husband up in the middle of the night and explained this entire thing to him. And his response was, "How do you find this stuff?" And I said, "I don't know. But I feel bad for the people that are on the other end of it." And so anyways, in the Wayback Machine, looking back on everyday heroes like you, my camera is blurring, so I'm going to try to not move at all because I could not edit those settings. There was a guy named Hartley, and Hartley is someone that I really dug into because of this, and he's kind of the start of everything. So he's a founder and managing partner of the Arizona Restaurants Group, Gringo Star Street Bar in the Montauk. And he has showcased his ability to bring fresh and creative ideas to fruition. Through these businesses, Hartley has gained valuable leadership experience that he constantly seeks to build upon. And he was the only employee that you found on the Wayback Machine looking at everyday heroes like you, other than Erika Franzway, now Kirk, and Lori Franzway, which I thought was really weird because no one really talks about Hartley, and I feel like Erika has never spoke about him either, even when she's speaking about her nonprofit in any sense. So I've listened to a lot of podcasts about her, talking about this subject and talking about how she founded it. And it doesn't really make sense that he wouldn't be included in it because when you're on the Wayback Machine, he's included in a couple years of the business and he's the director of development. I also don't really understand how you could have a nonprofit that's making less than $70,000 a year, multiple years in a row, and have a director of development. So I'm a little bit confused on the finances of how this even works into it, which was the reason I was like, well, who is Hartley? And digging into Hartley, on his Facebook, you actually could find a photograph including Erika. And in that photograph, there's a photo of them with red hearts on their hands, which I found to be super weird. Yes, Marsh did redact those pages like Pam Bondi. I didn't want anyone's faces included that I was not ready to disclose. So I wanted to really make sure that I was not being disrespectful or sicking people on people for no reason. So this picture specifically that I have up here is from March 4th, 2015. That doesn't mean that that photo is taken at that time, but it is posted at that time. There are some comments in here I find really interesting where Hartley is tagging Erika, and he says, had to steal it, and tags her. And other people are saying, would peace. I don't even know what that means. And then it's too good. And then R.I.P. Spock. So found that to be super interesting. Yes, thank you. I also think so because I don't want my photograph shown with something like this either. So because it's a really weird thing. Allie posted about this Grace Chapel in Heber City, and she's talked about it a few times. And I do think that it's very important because something that she highlights in her video and in her X posts are that Butch Hibbs lives there. And Butch Hibbs is the guy in plaid that we see on September 10th at UVU. And Butch Hibbs is a very suspicious man. That's all I'm going to say. He's a weird guy. I don't think I would be friends with him. He's allegedly an unwavering man of God, and every time they've been together in the past 35 years or spoken to one another, either over the phone or in person, their main focus of conversation has always been Jesus Christ. He was, and it even states here that he was at the Turning Point event in Orem, Utah, and had the good fortune of being allowed behind the scenes, which we all see him behind the scenes, all up in everything, and all up in the space that the police have actually blocked off from everyone else. He's allowed to sit there for a very long time without being kicked out. And Butch knows someone very close to Charlie, like family close, which I found to be really interesting because I don't know why they just wouldn't say that Jack Hibbs was the way that Butch Hibbs knew Charlie Kirk. I don't know why that name was kind of not included in this, and I thought that it was really weird. Yeah, I mean, Allie, don't you think that's really weird that the famous pastor is not mentioned of how they know each other? I mean, if we're talking about a church, I would assume that you would name drop his brother, because I'm pretty sure everyone's talking about Jack, and unless I'm wrong on that, I'm pretty sure that everyone talks about Jack Hibbs and being invited to his church. I think Frank Turk has spoken about that too. Yeah, it's so weird. So I blew these up. So again, Hartley is tagging Erika Kirk or Erika Franzwe at this time in this photo, and there's a it's not Star Wars. I always forget. Spock is another thing just like Star Wars. Dom, need to hear you say bro, or else I'm going to think someone else is impersonating you. I do say bro. I'm trying to be somewhat proper. So I do say bro and dude all the time, actually. So I'm trying to not move a bunch, and I'm trying to be more proper because I don't want to lose any followers, even though I probably will throughout this. Oh, Star Trek. You are correct. Thank you, Marsh. So I found it to be really interesting that that's even in here. Allie has actually mentioned how there's some Star Trek references throughout this and throughout little nuggets and clues that we're finding on the internet. So I found it to be very bizarre. Moving on, Hartley has been in Heber City, Utah himself, and I thought that was really weird. So Hartley is pictured in a photograph he posted himself on his Facebook. And he tags the Sundance Resort in Utah, and the caption says, "Taking out the garbage," and this is on January 23rd, 2014. So I thought it was really weird that all of this is kind of coinciding together here. Allie has this video, and I'm going to play the first 4 minutes of it because I think it's super relevant, and this is just showing that this is her work. You should totally go follow Allie on X and on YouTube. Her username is Allie Top Files, and she is amazing. And I'm going to hit play. I hope it plays. If the sound does not work, please tell me. But this is actually my first time testing this. And Marsh and I probably should have tested this, but I was trying to perfect this PowerPoint way too much.
Hello, everybody. And happy Valentine's. It is Valentine's. And yeah, my partner Chris is making some nice dessert for us, for me right now. Anyhow, we're gonna go straight into this because I have a bombshell. Okay. And hopefully I can post this on, I'm doing it on Valentine's, but hopefully I can post this huge thing I found. Well, let me go back to this actual page here that I'm on. So everybody knows who this is. I have to go do a little bit of this is Charles, and if I'm not saying it right, Charles Highwalk. I think that's how you say his name. I'm going to go to this first page because I did a little blurb about him, and then Barron did a blurb about, not a blurb about him, but tried to find the video. And this is the individual that is so close with Butch that deleted everything off the Grace Heber Chapel admin page, which he is the admin for. So if you can see here, I did a video on it. Go check it out. It's called Grace Chapel, Heber City, Utah deletes his whole thing about Charlie. And it was quite long. If you read it, you know, you can go back and check it. I'm not going to play the video now. I'll put it in the description. But anyways, he did a long post on September 11th, I believe. Yes. And the long post was all about Charlie. A lot of details about him and Butch, how they know each other for years since 1991, whatever. And I did this, and I did a whole like YouTube on it. I actually did it on X first. I actually did it on someone's live stream first, then at X, but he deleted it. And then I know Baron was asking me, "Where's that video?" It's a video of, you see Charlie coming in, and Butch is taking that video from behind, and people are going, "USA, Charlie, Charlie," and stuff like that. So that video and that whole entire post, he deleted. Now, why? He didn't say anything bad. He really didn't. I think it was very heartfelt, and it was a lot of information. I didn't know that he was just really good friends with Butch. So I was just trying. Like, once you delete something, well, I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna go look for you. Why did you delete it? I don't understand. I mean, I delete stuff too, but this is different. This is like, if you don't like a post, okay. But this is for somebody's, you're remembering somebody. And yeah, so I thought it was weird. So I did a little video on it. It has 16K. It's doing pretty well. So it's in my YouTube. Just go check it out, and I'll put it in the description as well. But now we're going to find out the bombshell that I just found. Hope you like my little background too. I'm just doing on the sideline videos because I just going to pull up my laptop and go. So I hope you guys enjoy. I did change it to gray because everybody didn't like the purple or whatever I had, or pink. All right, here we go. Now what do I have to do? I have to stop sharing this screen and share my other screen. So you guys see this. He's really good friends with Butch. Butch gave him the video. Okay. And now he worked in law enforcement, and I'll get into all that. But now he's a pastor at Heber. I keep saying wrong. Heber Grace Chapel Church in Utah. Okay, so that is that. That was a deleted post, and he never reposted it. So, which is weird. Why are you doing that? All right, so now I'm going to add something else to the stage, so just give me a second here. Okay, so, also, I gotta say, happy Valentine's, everybody. Happy Valentine's. Okay, that's all I'll say for that. Now I'm gonna go and share my screen on, what is it? Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm not that fast like everybody else. Share screen. I have to do.
Okay. So I actually think the problem is that better with the sound? Wait, why is everyone laughing? Hold on. Why is everyone laughing? Oh, okay. I'm glad if you're laughing at me, please tell me what's up. I did show the bears. I was trying to do the setting. So that is better then? You guys don't hear the echo? Okay, I figured out what it is. I'm also using Allie does not look gay. I mean, she does look very happy, but okay, here I'm gonna change. Now I can't change it. Oh no. I literally can't. Hold on. How do I go to next? Oh, no. Okay, hold on. I'll go to this. Present. There we go. Okay. Allie does look cute with the bears. I thought that it was really cute. Allie did say Allie looked gay. I don't really know. You guys are messing with each other. So going on, the church and Heber City, Utah is kind of relevant here because it's came up a few times. There's a few places that keep coming up. Thank you, Dawn, for letting me know. I realized in my audio mixer there is two things for a microphone. So I apologize about that. Hartley is also pictured in a few different places that I found relevant when we're talking about Erika's life and her history with travel based on recent things. We are always laughing. It's making me nervous because I'm like, are we laughing with me or at me? What is going on? Hartley is pictured here posting in 2016 in Honduras. And Honduras it's a great place to vacation, but Honduras is notorious for being a place of poverty, which I think is relevant when you're thinking of a lot of these trips here. Hartley is pictured with other people in Honduras, and it seems to be a guys group. In the same year, so Hartley was just in March of 2016, he's posting that he's in Honduras. That doesn't mean he's in Honduras at that time. It just means that he's posting that he might have been there around that time. And then in December of 2016, Hartley is now in Thailand. And so he's in Central America, and then Hartley is going to Thailand all the way in Asia. And I found that to be pretty interesting when you're talking about some of the recent, I wouldn't call them allegations, but just questions people have about intentions and looking into Romanian angels and the orphanages that have had some allegations with the Harvest Crusades group and Calvary Chapel people involved. And then here's this picture again of Hartley being in Heber City, Utah, blown up. Now, where I felt like this was super bizarre is there is this picture of Erika and a group of people who we are working on the identities of currently with a red heart on their hands. And I don't know how actually, I do know how I got on the Order of the Oddfellows. And it was because I was looking at obituaries. And I feel like obituaries are a really great place to find things that people are trying to hide otherwise or scrub off the internet. And I was looking into someone else involved in Turning Point USA. And I got like 2 obituaries deep. And when I got 2 obituaries deep, I noticed that someone was like the highest ranking member you could be at the Order of Rebecca. And I was like, okay, well, what the heck is the Order of Rebecca? And I'm Googling the Order of Rebecca, and I get a few pages in, and then I see a picture of a heart on the hand. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I do think that there are a lot of coincidences that could be possible or explanations for certain things. But I think that you kind of lose the chance to give explanations when you don't give an answer to anything. And I think that that makes you look very suspicious in a lot of ways. So when we're looking into this, I found it to be really interesting with some other symbolism we see throughout this, and I'm about to go into it. But the Order of Rebecca is under the Independent Order of the Oddfellows, which sometimes is referred to IOOF. And it's supposed to be a non-political, non-sectarian, international fraternal order of odd fellowship. And I definitely think a lot of the people involved are odd in the demise of Charlie Kirk. And it's founded in America in the early 1800s. So it's actually older than that, and I'll go into that here in a little bit. The original fraternity is actually from England, and it operated as an independent organization since 1842. So it's bizarre when you start looking at the symbolism of all of this. And I also found it interesting if any of these people are included in the Order of Rebecca or the IOF, because they have this triple links symbol I'll get into, but the motto is friendship, love, and truth. And I think that we've seen a lack of all of those categories when we're reviewing what the heck happened to Charlie Kirk. So this is this picture blown up again. And as you can see, this is Hartley right here. And then this is Erika Franceby at the time, now Erika Kirk, who is Charlie Kirk's widow. And this is just that picture blown up. Oh, thank you guys. You guys are so nice. Either way, yes, I do want to know what the heck is going on. So I felt like it got really weird when I start to Google more and more. Okay, what does this fraternal order mean? I used to be in a sorority and I found the symbolism to be quite weird. I know that I was in a college sorority, so that may be a little bit different. I'm not in an adult sorority. I think it's also a little bit bizarre once you get to a certain age to group yourself in something like this where you feel like you need secret or a secret order. Um, so when you're looking at the International Association of Rebecca Assemblies, what really stuck out to me is the sentence from Wikipedia. And it says, as the International Order of Oddfellows, the Rebeccas began as an all-white organization, typical at the time, that purported to promote reciprocity and charity and drew inspiration from Judeo-Christian ethics. Again, it says Judeo-Christian ethics. So I found this to be impossible that this is also in this Wikipedia because the term Judeo-Christian is a term that we didn't see until I think the mid 1900s, and it's actually a political term. So when you're looking at how old this fraternal order was, again, in 1819, there's no way that it could have drew upon Judeo-Christian ethics because that word did not exist at the time. So, message retracted. Oh. Was that Charlie next to Erika? No, it is not Charlie next to Erika. But Marsh has been going crazy on it, and I don't think Dan is in here either. I did think Judeo-Christian ethics was really weird because Christianity and Judaism at the root, um, they do have somewhat of the same ethics if you're talking about the Torah, which is a part of the Old Testament. However, it's kind of religion washing both religions to group them together like this. And it's a really dangerous term that a lot of historians and a lot of people that study biblical literature do not agree with and think that it's just purely a political term. It honestly erases the idea of Christianity because of how Christianity was birthed. And then it's also not really respectful to the Judeans because they are not Christians. So it's just disrespectful of a term to use. Then I started looking more into this Rebecca degree, and that's embarrassing. I did not fill out this caption, so I'm just gonna ignore that over there. Um, so the Rebecca degree was designed especially for women, and its ceremony and lectures are based upon the characters of notable women in biblical history. Some things that I found really interesting that I'll show on the screen next is they have a bunch of ceremony illustration symbols that you can see on their own website. It's a public website, so it's not like I was going on 4chan or any weird website to figure out what was going on. One of the symbols that they have that they use is the beehive, and it's supposed to be a representation of cooperative industry teaching the advantages of the united efforts in all the ministries of the order. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? All the ministries of the order. Like, I think that yes, if we're talking about religion, unless we're talking about just in the fraternal sense, that's kind of an oxymoron. And then one of their other symbols, the dove, is supposed to promote peace on earth and goodwill to men. And then there's also a lily, and that is long regarded as the emblem of purity, a symbol of the purity of character, of thought, of word, and action, which are aspired to in the hearts and lives of members of the Rebecca Lodge. Presentations are communication tools. I knew it. Yes, they are. They're to help you communicate, Marsh. So what does the Rebecca Order do? The Rebecca Order, and you can go to the website and read all of this that you want, and I will link all of my sources. But generally, I went through and highlighted the things that I thought were relevant here. So it's an ideal lodge for you to have fellowship in all forms, from meetings to initiation ceremonies to dinners to hanging out and just having fun, to discussion and collaboration on creative and constructive projects, all with an eye not only of our own satisfaction, but on what we might offer to the community at large. We aim to be a good venue for a lot of positive energy, and all members are encouraged to contribute their ideas in harmony. And then it goes a little bit further into the philanthropy that they do, and I have some examples of I have some examples of um some of these projects, but basically they have the Pilgrimage for Youth sponsors a group of high school students for an educational trip in the US and Canada, which I found was really weird. Where are these children going in the United States and Canada with this fraternal order if their parents are not in this fraternal order? I'm not a mom, but that would be an absolute no. Oh, please get some rest, and I hope that you feel better. Thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you for coming. I really do appreciate it. I hope that you feel better, and I will pray for you and your tooth. Um, they also have an SOS Children's Village promoting a caring home for orphaned children in 132 countries around the world. And then the Oddfellow and Rebecca camps and parks provide recreation for the youth and families. So it's a little bit weird to me when you're talking about what they do. And the original social network of their lodges are basically for them to extend socially and philanthropy wise throughout the world. And they're in over 30 countries too, which I found to be really interesting because it says 30 countries in one spot and then it says orphan children in 132 countries. And I'm like, I have no idea why we have all of these numbers of countries that we're involved in. And I'm like, why are we involved in all of these countries, anyways? So it didn't really make sense to me. And oops, that is in there twice. So ignore that. Then you have the seals of the Oddfellow. And the thing that really stands out to me here, and my face is kind of in the way here. So I actually don't think I can move it. Maybe I can. Oh, yep. Nope. Nope. Yes, I can. Learning. So in the seal, you see the term orphan. There's some other things in this seal I find really interesting, especially when we're talking about the biblical context and my theory on things that I can get into later with ancient Judea and those that were exiled to Babylon. But when we're looking at this, there's also a snake around the globe, which is not a very Judeo-Christian symbol to have on the globe. So I don't know what's going on here, but to me, when I see a snake around the globe, I actually am a tad disgusted. I'm sorry if you're a person that likes snakes, but it just didn't make any sense to me. And then scrolling down, looking at their seal, I'm just getting that text and it's late. Oops. Okay. I just saw that text like 30 minutes later. I'm putting my phone up here now and I can see it in case I mess up again. Thanks. So, looking at the seal down, you see a beehive in here, and then you can see that it's the Order of the Oddfellows. And I find it really interesting again because we're talking about Judeo-Christianity. This term doesn't exist, and this seal says 1834. So that's impossible. It also says around it, we command you to visit the sick, relieve the distressed, bury the dead, and educate the orphan. And those are all things that we've seen Erika Franceby do recently, which I found to be really interesting. Charlie Kirk was very distressed in the last few months of his life. And I think that that was very clear based on his interviews, based on his text messages saying they are going to kill me, and a lot of other aspects of his life. And that really made me think about this in a different light. And it's just bizarre. You also see, I thought at first that this over here was a cross, and I want to say maybe it's a cross. Is it a cross from the crucifix? But then you also see this arrow, and I'm like, is that arrow a part of that or not? Is that arrow like the tail of Satan? And then is this a cross that someone's holding separately? This whole image, I know. So it's actually really interesting because I do feel like this whole seal is contradicting to the goals and everything else that they're telling us. When I also see this seal, what I think of is one of the first conspiracy theories that I dove into. I need to stop using my hands because it's making my my camera move a bunch. So you do think it looks like an anchor. Okay. It looks like an anchor. Sorry. I was apparently biased because I have seen a lot of satanic activity. But the one thing that really did stick out to me throughout this is you see an eyeball on a lot of things. And I know that that is a very big Illuminati symbol, the eyeball. And I think sometimes what happens when people are trying to flood the feed or flood the narrative is you use different names for things or you use similar names for things. So if I was in a secret society and people were getting suspicious and people saw things happening when I was bad at hiding them or I was figuring it out, I do think that it's quite possible that the Illuminati is not really the Illuminati. And is the Illuminati just illuminating that you don't know what you're talking about when you even say that term? Is the thought that I have. I don't think the Illuminati would be such a mainstream joke otherwise. So going past the seal, I also found some newspaper clippings. So this is totally a real thing. You do see the eyeball up in here again. And I'm like, what is going on? This is for a party that they had in the United States. And the party was in 1869, and it was the 15th anniversary at this lodge. And it is talking about the widows and orphans and sisters of the degree of Rebecca, which I also found to be really an interesting term to use, to say the least. I don't understand why we're talking about widows and orphans of the degree of Rebecca, and the wives and daughters of the brethren are invited to be at the hall at 10 a.m. is what this article says. So I found to be that very bizarre. Oh, that is funny, Allie. I do think that's possible. So going back to everyday heroes like you in the Wayback Machine, I definitely highlighted some extra words here in green, but I find a lot of contradictions in Erika Kirk's story. And I think when I'm looking at her story, the other thing I find is that the contradictions, I put them all into a timeline, and I'm almost ready to put it into like an interactive timeline. I went through and have every social media post with a lot of other things I found, and I have compiled some things that other people have contributed to, and the group that I'm in has been really great about using newspaper articles, marriage records, business records, all of those things, address records, so we can actually contemplate, where did this person live at this time? What were they doing? Where were they born? Where did they die? Erika has said multiple times on multiple occasions that her nonprofit was international from the beginning. And it even says that here on her website in 2020 on the Wayback Machine. It says, our vocation is to promote, to propagate the everyday heroes in our communities that have a philanthropic desire to truly make a difference. And incorporated in 2006, Everyday Heroes Like You immediately took flight with numerous projects all over the world. And that's on her website. I'm not putting words into her mouth. I'm not even referencing the other interviews or statements that she's had on Miss Arizona, which you'll see why that's a contradiction here in a second. Going to her page on the archive on October 26th, 2020. Sorry, I keep moving this. It actually says, in August 2012, Everyday Heroes Like You visited the Black Sea support team in Constanta, Romania. During our visit, we were able to team up with the United States Army and the United States Marine Corps and visit various hospitals and orphanages. Through this journey, we formed a partnership with Antonia Placement Center in Constanta, and we immediately fell in love with each child in that moment and knew it was the time to take our organization international. So it's impossible for this first part to be true if what they mean is projects with boots on the ground. I guess that yes, you could give donations internationally, but it seems like the first time she's really even involved in the Romanian Angels. My camera keeps adjusting, so I'm really sorry if you guys feel like you're drunk right now. You're drunk on Dom. Sorry about that. That's also not super great, so I feel bad for you. It's impossible for her to then be August 2012 and on her own website in the Wayback Machine saying that she decided to take it international in 2012. It just contradicts itself by 6 years. So it talks about her project and all of this stuff with the placement center. And there are a lot of pictures on this portion of the archive. When I went through, this one's small, but I did cover up the children's faces. Marsh also helped with this because I also found it very bizarre being on some international trips with children myself that there are pictures on a lot of these people's profiles that have the full face of these children in orphanages. And if children are in orphanages in another country or this country, it's very disrespectful to show their face on the internet. It's very disrespectful for an organization to be showing their face, especially on a public website, because you don't know what type of situation these kids are in. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know who's looking for them. You don't know why they were taken away. You don't know if their parents are trying to figure them out. You don't know who they were surrounded with. And it's not a very kosher thing to do. So I think on this one, Erika probably should have locked her cell phone in the drawer and said Shabbat Shalom. I'm not going to post that just yet. Like, I think that she really should have thought about this further than she did. And this is highlighting again the part where it says, we immediately fell in love with every child, and in that moment knew it was time to take our organization international. So I just think that you should get your story straight if you're going to have one. And you can see here some of the photos that are on this specific part of the archive, which I do think some of these are found on other articles and websites, but these ones I pulled from this archive. And you can even see Lori Francevy right here. So this is Charlie Kirk's oh, my face is in the way. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, I missed a child, Marsh. We missed a kid zooming in. We are horrible. I am so bad. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out. Don't look over there. Don't look over there. There's nothing to see here. Let me move. Can I move my head over that? Okay, we're just going to go to the next page. Okay, so drinking a martini in March. Oh, well, thank you. I'm happy you could have your martini. In this one, you can see that they did work with the local base, and these are a lot of military men. There are some women that we've looked into as well that are pictured in other articles here that seem to be involved in this nonprofit entity. I also find it really weird that this is in 2012, right? So this is 2012. It's not 1776. And the only people you see from the military, unless these two women right here are also in the military, I assume they are actually locals and interpreters here. You only see men. And I don't, oh, sorry, kid. In my defense, she's probably like 24 now. Okay. Yes, I also apologize. I don't know if I can edit that out, but it's all men in these photos. And I found that really weird because I think that the only women that are involved are the people that are coming from everyday heroes like you and the people that work there. So You can see that even further. This is Erika Francebay. This is her mother, Lori Francebay. And this is the recently famous Tracy Martin, who has known Erika and her family for a very long time. So they even went to Romania together. This other woman right here actually works and is partnered with one of the groups involved in overseeing this orphanage. And I'm working on research with that with Marsh and a few other people. I'm pretty sure there's like 3 of us that have looked into that a little bit. When we're looking at all of this together, again, I see a lot of men other than what looks like these women that are involved in overseeing or on the group. And you can see Tracy Martin here. There's this woman again. And Lori Francebay. Here's Erika Francebay, now Kirk at the time. And these are allegedly in 2012, I would assume, based on the age and based on that skin composition of Erika. It's interesting. The other thing I found really interesting looking at this is what is on this bag. And when I'm looking at what's on this bag, it says to, and it has the child's name. And then it says heart always Eric. And I just feel, I don't know what my discernment radar was like, okay, I'm only seeing men. Why is Eric writing a heart on this thing? Like, what exactly is the relationship? I think that you can look into the allegations between the military and this specific orphanage yourself and the keyword harvest in California. And I think that you can see with Greg Laurie where this went very wrong. So when I see heart always Eric, and I guess that at this time those are alleged allegations. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just repeating what is being reported on elsewhere, but it's very inappropriate to be saying that you love children that are in an orphanage. It's actually very inappropriate unless you're going to be there long term or be able to give these children stability to be giving them any form of affection and a hug, saying I love you or anything like that, because these children have a very hard time being able to learn appropriate boundaries sometimes when they're in this go in between or when they're going to their next step. So it's a very, very sad thing when you're at one of these places or when you're with a group of children that are in an orphanage, because you don't want to be cold, but it's not good for them to learn normal, healthy boundaries. Here you can see Erika unloading a box. She's doing heavy lifting. Heavy lifting there. I wonder what's in that box. Anyways, it's also very inappropriate to hug a child in these places. And most of the time when you're going and you get a rundown from the people that are running the place, they'll actually tell you that. And I'm saying that from experience in Ecuador, and I'm saying that from experience in the Dominican Republic. So I've been briefed on what's appropriate and what's inappropriate with that in a few different instances, and it's just not an appropriate way to handle it. As you can see, there's a kiss on the cheek. So the other thing that I found really weird when I'm looking at this is then you see the reference of hands multiple times throughout this. So this is an article, and it's in a foreign language. I'm pretty sure it's Romanian or Romania. Hi. Oh, Spicy Grits. Thanks for coming. And George McDougall. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. This is my first live, so I'm really nervous. And if I mess up, don't hold me to it. But maybe you can just laugh about it like when Baron doesn't do the sound. But so when we're looking at the hand photograph that I do think comes up again here in a second because I put it in a few places, you see articles that come up in relation to the hands. And I have it highlighted here, and this part of the article says a bunch of things showing that this is Erika Francebay and that the Black Sea Rotational Force is involved here in Miss Arizona, and it has her full name, Erika Lane Francebay, and a guardian angel and a wish list and all of that stuff that she's doing. And then you see in the translation, it says, Miss Erika France, or Miss Arizona, Erika Lane Francevay, the guardian angel of children, according to the press release from the United Hands Romania Association. So the word hands is literally in this article. I found it to be really interesting. So, she has been promoting the Everyday Heroes model in the countries she travels to for several years, allegedly at this time. And her reliable helpers are the American military who want to get involved in the communities of the host countries whenever they have the opportunity. This article has the date of 2015 on it. And then, so moving on, you can see that the article talks more, just confirming the certain things about being hospitalized in Romania with a specific instance. And it does say in here, so this article is from 2015, and I cannot confirm nor deny if she made another trip there at this time, because I feel like the photos could be reused, and this could be an article about it in 2015, which, when you're thinking about the timeline of the alleged lawsuits right now, I don't know if this article is just a PR blitz. But with that in mind, it does say that Erika was there 3 years ago, and it says the Romanian Angels was born in 2012 when Erika visited this placement center in Constanta with the support of the United Hands of Romania Association. Again, the word hands is there. So it goes on again to talk about the social assistance of the child and protection of Constanta, and all of those people being involved, and mentions at the end of it again, Everyday Heroes and the United Hands Romania Association. I don't even think I can tally how many times I've seen hands throughout all of this. So I actually went through another article that talks about the hands because it seems to be the local organization there. And then I put this seal up here again so that I can zoom in with the word orphan in the seal. And then you can see, I'm pretty sure the hand was right there. Well, it's in here somewhere. The hand is in there with the heart, but I don't see it off the top of my head. I'm trying to keep up with you guys over here and over here, and I'm not a pro at this yet. So this article is talking about the United Hands Romania Association again, and it says it twice here just from these first 3 paragraphs that I translated with Google Translator. So if it's not 100% correct, I'm not a translator, so don't, hold me to being one. And this article mentions the Everyday Heroes Like You again in name. And then it also mentions the United Hands of Romania Association a 3rd time in the article. So, hey, Julie, thanks for joining. And then that's just the beginning part of this article, because it also goes further in depth. And it says, every year, volunteers from the United Hands Romania Association collect wish lists of children of Antonio. And then it goes on to say again that the Black Sea Rotational Force and the volunteers from the United Hands of Romania Association are involved. And then it says, I am happy to collaborate with United Hands of Romania Association and Renee Crossman, the president of this organization, but also with the representatives of the Antonio Placement Center, who always have so many initiatives for children, explains Erika Francevay. Through the Romanian Angels, children in foster care at the Antonio Center receive gifts. So that is what this nonprofit is focusing on with children in an orphanage. Not basic needs, not supporting them elsewhere, from what I understand. It's giving them gifts. So that is also really bizarre to me, and such an American way to look. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's crazy. I have more of you here. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. And it says, I wish I was joking when I say how many times the word hands kept showing up throughout this whole thing. So then you see the United Hands of Romania, the United Hands Collaborates, the United Hands Romanian Association, Hand in Hand Initiative. So the United Hands Romania Association has also been involved in the Hand to Hand Initiative in a national project with local implementation for the benefit of children in placement centers. I don't even know how many times you could actually fit the word hand into an article, but I think this may be a world record. And I think someone needs to probably contact the Guinness World Record book. I used to try to buy those all the time growing up. So, um, if you're new, the reason why if you're new here right now to this stream, the reason why I'm going over this is the person that is listed on the Everyday Heroes Like You website in the Wayback Machine has a picture on his Facebook. His name is Hartley, where there is Erika France and him shown with a red heart on their hand with a group of people that I do think relates back to some of this weird symbolism we see throughout what's been happening and what's been kind of a secret. So, this is Erika in Romania, and that's the seal again, and I'm just going over the articles. So then going back to what the Oddfellows is and what its name is. So this is straight from their website, and there are several different reasons given for their strange name. No matter what version of history you subscribe to, it cannot be denied that the Oddfellows are a unique and diverse group. One old and apparently authoritative history of odd fellowship gives the explanation that common laboring men should associate themselves together and form a fraternity for social unity and fellowship and for mutual help was such a marked violation of the trends of the times. And this was in England at the 1700s. So again, the whole term Judeo-Christianity that they're using in their Wikipedia page is not even a word that's been made up yet at that point. They were known as peculiar or odd, Illuminati. And because of the appropriateness of the name, those engaged in forming these unions accepted it. And when legally incorporated, the title Oddfellows was adopted. Another explanation is that the original Oddfellows were men who were engaged in various or odd trades that didn't have the numbers to form for the security provided by a trade guild or union like the Masons. These workers of odd jobs bonded together and initially met in back rooms of pubs. I don't know why you would need to meet in the back room of a pub. I actually can guess what you're doing in the back room of a pub, and it's not having some secret meeting. I just don't think you would do it at a pub. So, oh my gosh. Hey, JoJo. Oh, thanks. Finally, someone. Oh, thank you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you, Spicy Grits. I hate hearing my voice, so it's nice to hear that someone else likes to hear it. You weren't here for the beginning when it was echoing, and I'm sorry that. Oh my gosh. What the heck? Wow. Thank you guys, and thank you, Shimarek. My camera is really blurry in and out, so I'm sorry if you guys feel drunk. I've already apologized, but if you're new, I'm trying not to move as much as I normally do because I could not figure out the setting to get my camera to stop doing that. I bought a new camera and it's separate from my computer, and I think I needed to download software, but I'm not really a read instructions kind of girl. So, again, talking about the odd jobs in the back room of pubs, paying a penny per week in dues that would help members who felt ill or had passed away. And eventually the idea spread and formed a network of more formalized lodges, and the Oddfellows developed their unique rituals, philosophy, and purpose. So if you're forming based on Judeo-Christian ethics, I don't really understand why you would need your own philosophy. In either. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me, and that's someone coming from a sorority. Like, for the general part of being in a fraternity or sorority or a fraternal order, they all kind of have the same philosophy, and it's to just better the world. You don't create a new philosophy. It's kind of all the same thing. You can pretend it's secret all you want, but at the end of the day, it's about philanthropy. And that's not really something that needs to be secret. And you can't actually be helpful if it's secret. So it's kind of asinine that that's even an accusation that people would talk about with that. So modern references state that the true reason for the name of Oddfellows isn't known or documented. Whatever the reason may have been, the unusual name has been the object of public curiosity and on occasion derision or mirth for well over 200 years. So again, they're saying over 200 years. They're saying that they were based on Judeo-Christian ethics. That's impossible. And then the Order of Rebecca's is actually what is under the IOOF, or the International Order of Oddfellows. And the Rebecca's is also known as the International Association of Rebecca Assemblies, so the IARA. And originally, the Daughter of Rebecca's is an international service-oriented organization. Sounds like someone we know. That is now the CEO of TPUSA. And a branch of the Independent Order of Oddfellows. It was initially designed as the female auxiliary of the IOOF, but now allows both female and male members. The general duties of the members of the units are to live peacefully, to do good unto all, and we have the opportunity, especially to God, of the golden rule. Whatsoever ye would that others should do unto you, do ye even unto them. Interesting in context. So then talking about the history of the Order of Rebecca, it talks about how in 1850, someone was tasked to write a decree for women, and the Rebecca Lodges were founded on September 20th of 1851, again, before the term Judeo-Christianity was a term used for political reasons. After considerable debate, the Sovereign Grand Lodge of the Independent Order of the Oddfellows voted to adopt the Rebecca Decree, largely due to the efforts of the Oddfellow named Schuyler Colfax, the U.S. president from 1869 to 1873. The first Rebecca Decree were honorary awards only, conferred on wives and daughters of the Oddfellows at special lodge meetings, and recipients were known as Daughters of Rebecca. The name is taken from the biblical character of Rebecca. Oh my gosh, thank you. So many people are in the chat. I thought it was just going to be the people from my research group, so thank you all for being here. I feel like a nerd. Okay, so the Rebecca Decree was designed especially for these women, and in ceremony and lectures are based on characters of notable women in biblical history. So it is named for the women of the early Hebrew history, whose kindness and hospitality to a humble and unknown stranger was thought to best portray the nobility and character of women. There is also other notable women of biblical history whose characters and virtues form the basis for the Rebecca Decree and lessons of life to be followed by the Rebeccas. They were famous for their loyalty, patriotism, for civic and national services, for humanitarianism, and for devotion to God and the cause of righteousness among mankind. The Rebecca Decree ceremony is illustrated by distinctive symbols employed in the work of the decree, each having a significance and appropriate application. And I feel like that is a very concerning statement when we get into what those symbols are. So as you can see here, the website literally says what their symbols are. This is straight from the oddfellows.org website, and I have the source there on the page. But the beehive is a representation of cooperative industry teaching, the advantages of the united efforts in all the ministries of the order. The moon and 7 stars represents never-failing order, which pervades the universe of God and all of nature, suggesting to the members the value of the system, regularity, and precision in all worthy undertakings. The dove is a universally recognized emblem of peace and has significance to the Rebecca Decree. Through the mission of love and charity and tolerance and forbearance, Rebeccas are to strive to bring happiness to others, to promote peace on earth and goodwill to men. And then, yes, I'm sorry, the slow chat really is on because I was scared if I said a keyword that I would be bot stormed. So please do not hate me. I will try to turn it off next time. But I am streaming this myself, and I think that was a bad idea to try at first. So I apologize. And then the lily, long regarded as the emblem of purity, is a symbol of purity of character, of thought and word and action, who aspired to the hearts and lives of members of the Rebecca Lodge. So, moving on to the next page. It gets weirder when you're looking at the literal documents on their website. So, when I think of a secret society, and I think again of the first conspiracy theory I ever looked into, it was the Illuminati. And what is the one thing that everyone knows about the Illuminati? It's this. Everyone knows the all-seeing eyeball, the triangles, the pyramids, what's on your dollar. And it's very interesting if you went back and looked at the video that Candace Owens spoke about in the founding of America, Babylon, and the symbolism that our country was founded upon, and then the date of these organizations and who we'll get into was involved in them. It shows, this chart is on their website, and I'll zoom in up here. It actually shows the larger and more prominent English and American orders of the Oddfellows, ancestry, and dates of origin. So the oldest one is going back to a known 1740. And then it also says, note there are other societies of Oddfellows originating from the Manchester Unity or the Grand Unity Order of England. So these secret societies have a lot of offshoots, but generally they all fall under this IOOF. So, and then their website literally has, in a secret society, I don't even know how you could use that term when you're describing your group, your homies, and you blast their faces on here. Like I also, the whole reason I found this, if you're just getting in here, is through like 2 levels of obituaries that I was searching for. And it literally says in there was the highest ranking member, and I forget the actual term. It didn't say priest, but it was something along those lines, of the Rebecca order. And that's how I found what the independent order of the Oddfellows on, that the order of Rebecca falls under. And on their website, it has this, I blown up part of it so that you can see it because I didn't realize I could zoom in. So that's on me. It has their most important people. So Winston Churchill is on here. You see Baldwin. There's a lot of kings on here. Massey. I wonder if that's our most famous Massey that's helping us with those Epstein files. I mean, Eggstein, actually. I should not have said that word. And then moving on, you can see there's a bunch of other people. Franklin Roosevelt, William McKinley, Rutherford Hayes, Ulysses Grant. And then there are some other interesting ones. And when Marsh and I were looking at this, I don't want you to look too closely into these people's eyes. I am a cradle Catholic, so I do think that you should probably not look deeply into someone's eyes or show if you feel like there's some type of malevolence going on. But these 2 people right here made me the most uncomfortable I have ever been in my life. I don't even know what is going on, that there's a clown in a secret order. And then I did not know who the heck Charles Chaplin is, but I don't like looking at him. And I'm not really sure what is going on with them, but I don't want to look at them very long. I don't want to make you look at them. There's some women in here, not as many women as there are men. But you see Lucy Hayes, the First Lady of the United States, another First Lady, Julia Grant, and you see some other people. And this one's interesting because it says Doreen Patterson, and she's the first woman elite radio intelligence operator of the Royal Canadian Navy. And I found that to be interesting because you have intelligence that's kind of locked in here. And then you see some other people. They're all very important, and I do plan to dive kind of more into these if these people are related to any of the people that I have been looking into. Then their website lists a lot of their symbolism. So when you're looking at their symbolism, you see the eyeball is everywhere. It's literally everywhere. You see the heart. This one is not like a heart that you have drawn on your hand. This is a heart held in a hand with a picture right by it from their website that looks like, I don't know if you're hunting whatever is right here. I don't know if this is like a tree. Is that an act of war? I'm not really sure. You have the 3 chain links again. You have the skull and bones throughout all of this symbolism. You have the beehive, which is very relevant in what happened. You have the cross. And you have a lot of things going on here. These twig-like bamboo things are like a hand ceremony. That's the breaking of the hands, which I can go further in depth and more. I kind of briefly researched it, but I don't think it's super relevant to the topic that I'm trying to get at. But so they have their own basically creed or decree. So, and basically they want you to say, I am an Oddfellow. This is a very normal fraternal or sorority, but a fraternal order type of thing. I find it really interesting when we see the values and the actions of the people from Turning Point USA and the questions that people have raised about September 10th, 2025, because their main thing is about having a brotherhood of men with friendship, love, and truth, and the destiny of mankind. They believe that their home, church, or temple is important. Their lodge and their community deserve their best work, their modest pride, their earnest faith, and deepest loyalty as they perform their duties, whatever those duties may be, because it's a secretive order. So I don't know if you can really tell what those duties are, but you have some presidents and first ladies all up in the important people that they've disclosed in this secret society. They also quote in here to visit the sick, relieve the distressed, bury the dead, and educate the orphan, which we see Erika Kirk kind of do throughout all of this. So it's very bizarre. And it also speaking about truth, grateful to the creator and the country and the fraternal fellow of men. I find that the statement they also use a lot in here of faithful to my country. And I think it shows in here later that there's a militant group in this order that I don't think you can be a part of this, not be political, and then be faithful to your country, which is a very confusing ideology in itself. And then, so this is a photo from the Oddfellows website again. And as you can see on their own website, the heart on the hand is literally all up in there. We see that in that picture that I showed earlier, and I can show it again here at the end. You see a lot of other things. The skull and bones made me think of almost every president that has ran this country. I'm not really sure if this is different levels to the order because it doesn't really go into describe that. I do have their handbook, and I haven't went deep into that to an extent because it was a bunch of rules. It didn't really talk about the secret part. I found the lamb at the bottom tier here to be really interesting, and angels surrounding what seems to be a tomb or a gate. I don't know if that's a wall. If it's a wall, we know a lot of people that have touched a wall involved in this story. And a lamb is typically sacrificial, so I found that to be really interesting. But again, we see the beehive, and then you see what I would assume is what you see if death is following you. If death is visiting you, any movie is going to show that device, a tomb. I'm like, okay, really interesting to have in a secret fraternal order. I don't know what this secret fraternal order does. But you also see again the snake. So the heart makes me super uncomfortable. And you see it again in all of their symbolism. And I feel like it gets worse and worse as I was digging and digging. You see the beehive again. You see the skull and bones. You see the coffin. The heart hand is there, and I highlighted it in green. And this is their founder. Don't look at him too much. I'm going to go away from his face. Sorry. I'm a little bit heebie-jeebie. The eyeball's there again, and a part of me does feel like, the eyeball could be all-seeing, all-knowing, almost like God. But I almost wonder if the whole point of having this eyeball symbolism is that you just get so distraught and you're just staring at the eyeball. And people have talked my whole life, because I don't like to make eye contact when I'm thinking. I just don't do that. If that annoys you, deal with it. But I I don't think it's also always appropriate to look deep into someone's eyes. I don't know. I just feel like sometimes you can feel like that's not the greatest thing to do. They also have in this graphic right here that one of their goals is to educate the orphans. And I don't know if this is 2 children or if this is actually a child and a mother, but there's definitely a man doing the educating, which I found to be really interesting going back into the pictures of the Romanian angels. You see a cross right there, and it looks like it is fallen. So I found that to be really interesting. And then you see the beehive again. This one's specifically right by the name Rebecca. And then this is a very bizarre picture in here, but it's about visiting the sick. You again have this almost like I forget what that thing is called that wears like the full black cape, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. But it is it is the person that it's not the creeper, it's like I can't think of what it is, but the person in the black cape following you before death, and it's in a lot of horror movies and things like that. So, the skull and bones are there again. You see the eyeball, you see the snake, you see a tomb. I don't know why you need an axe. Maybe you're cutting a lot of trees. I'm not really sure. Don't look at his eyeball. And then you see justice. That's literally the justice symbol. I'm not quite sure because when you zoom in, it's hard to tell if this justice symbol is a cross holding it up. Which is interesting using the term Judeo-Christianity. It also says up here, to relieve the distressed. And not to be a conspiracy theorist, but when I'm looking at this photo, I'm not quite sure who the distressed person is in this photo, but I can make a few guesses of who this distressed person is in this photo. And this distressed person in this photo looks like a very famous person that people tried to shut up thousands of years ago, that didn't really work and started a whole new religion. And yeah, so I guess history always repeats itself if we're going to get into that. They even have a deceased members log at the Order of the Oddfellows website. And this is all public information. Yes, I do think that looks like Jesus in the photo a little bit. It's blurry, but I felt like the symbolism was very bizarre and just kind of off-putting that you would relieve the distressed in that way. Grim Reaper. Thank you, Mandy. You are correct. I was thinking of the Grim Reaper, and I do not know why I couldn't think of it. I think it's because I don't really like scary movies, or I don't like to watch things with malevolence in them. I've never really liked that, and I've always turned those things off. So, I even I used to get scared during The Wizard of Oz because of the monkeys. I don't know why. I know. Call me a sissy. I don't care, but I am a sissy. When you look at the bottom of this deceased members paper, there's a bunch of weird things. I do not know what this says specifically. It's obviously in a different language. I don't know if it's Latin. I did not look into that. But so the skull and bones, but this is kind of like a skull bone heart thing. I'm like, that's a weird looking head. You have a beehive in here. You have the hand again right here. It's really bizarre because you basically see, I'm going to guess this is kind of like a phoenix. You see a lamb behind this like lit tomb like structure that's not a full tomb, but it's just kind of bizarre. And then there are other weird things here. This is their symbol with like a bag of money. And then you see a sideways fallen cross right here behind the bag of money. Weird. You see almost like a wand with a moon right here. And then you literally see, thank you, Mandy, for saying it, because you see the Grim Reaper in the background of this. If you are in a organization talking about Judeo-Christian ethics, saying that you based it on that when that term didn't exist at that time, and it's a political term. And you have the Grim Reaper in a lot of symbolism, his, weapon of choice, and you have a sideways cross. I'm going to think you cannot use the guise of Judeo-Christianity for what your group is based upon. I don't think that it would need to be secret. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. It's like, I saw mine before yours. What did Marsh say? Mandy stole my valor. Wait, I thought, oh my gosh. Marsh, I'm going to take you off of being a mod if you keep doing that. Don't put her in timeout. I do think that the Mooney cult is kind of relevant here. So that is actually a good thing, Allie. And I think that I have some connections that I want to dive into with people involved. And it's actually involved in a conspiracy theory. It's not really a conspiracy. If you ask Pam Bondi or Kash Patel, it is a conspiracy theory, allegedly. Since, 2019, there's a famous conspiracy funding in a lot of these places these people find themselves in, like Arizona State University. And a lot of the people involved in the timing that they're there with other arrests and bizarre creation of nonprofits and things that actually ended based on the same type of movement of things that happened at the place where the Romanian angels were given gifts at. But when I see the symbolism mixed in with all of that, it makes me super uncomfortable. I'm like, why do we have a snake? If a snake or a serpent was the thing that gave Eve an apple, and we're talking about Christianity, we're talking about the Bible, we're talking about scripture, the snake is not something that is really appropriate to be a symbol for anything, unless you're talking about evil. And then I'm like, why would you put that as a symbol of what you're doing here? Like, you're talking about burying the dead. There's all of these dead things going on in this photo. It's kind of mystic. It reminds me of the Kabbalah. And it's weird. We have a phoenix. You're talking about like rebirth at the bottom of it, and there's like a light behind it. And I'm like, what's going on? I don't understand. So, and then they continue to have a bunch of crap on their website. So I put a lot of it here. This is actually one of their old pieces of paper, and it grants consent of the Grand Master, past and present officers from Berrien's lodges connected with the Manchester Unity assembled in the Grand Committee. So there is a alleged conspiracy theory, but paperwork has been released from the CIA and from the CIA reading room about remote viewing. And there's a girl that is a military trained remote viewer, and Candace Owens has spoken about remote viewing with this quite a bit. And I can link the video in the description, or I will go more in depth into it and play clips of that video with this, because I think that this may be relevant. But one of the things this woman speaks about in her remote viewing that she did about Charlie Kirk specifically is that she saw Charlie Kirk on the other side of the veil. And when don't put Whitney in a timeout. Don't put Whitney in a timeout. And then when we're talking about the remote viewership and what they saw behind the veil, this woman goes on to say that she was very confused and saw Erika Kirk beside Charlie, and that she was so worried about her kids. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because I feel like I want to believe that this type of evil is actually not possible in our world. I'm sorry, I'm like getting kind of sad actually thinking about that. But the woman goes on to speak about how they were so worried about their kids, and now she was talking about how I don't know what's going on. That's not me. I want to know who's with my children. And it's actually a very messed up thing. Whitney, I think he's kidding. I will block him if he keeps doing that. So I think that when I'm looking at agreements that people have to sign, and I'm looking at what she talks about with the remote viewership and the agreements that they have to sign, and talking about how that even works with your soul, and how you have to be willing to promote or be willing to give up certain freedoms for certain things. When I see these agreements, it makes me uncomfortable with the whole thing in order. I like how Dom is like, this cult is going to, and we are just full nonsense. I'm a horrible mod. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional. I'm not trying to be like a sappy person, but it is very sad. I mean, no one's getting out of here alive, but I don't want someone else to be the reason I'm not getting out of here alive. So, I don't know. And then at the top of this, you actually see some things that we saw before. So you see the beehive again, you see the hand with the heart on it, and you see a lion in this one. Again, you also see the lamb carrying a cross that is crooked. It's not straight up. So it's like Jesus almost, I don't know what the exact meaning of that is, but I see it as like you carrying the cross to your grave or something of that nature. I know, Shmrek, I thought it was a very bizarre thing about the remote viewing. And I think that it would make a lot of sense if something like that was true and possible. And I do think that it's 2026. And I think that the way we like to explain things has to make sense to us. But, I mean, we're floating on a rock in the middle of space in a place that's growing over and over. You can understand what I'm saying somehow through a screen, first of all, but then like even not in a screen, you can understand what I'm saying if we're having a conversation in person, if we speak the same language. And I just think that the world and God and us being here is a lot more of a miracle, and not a satanic form of magic, but like a beautiful form of creation and magic from the creator itself. And I think that humans like to have this human example or explanation for all of it. But we're in meat suits floating on a rock in the middle of space. So your soul literally leaves your body. I don't know. We're fleeting on a sheet of paper, Dom. If I said sheet of paper, I need to take a nap, because that is so interesting. So then talking about the Independent Order of Oddfellows, they actually mentioned that Manchester Unity of Oddfellows being like the original thing. And that is actually from 1688 in Europe. And it says here, and this is from Wikipedia, so it's well sourced, and I didn't want to dive too much into this because generally going over the topic, I think that I just wanted to explain briefly my theory and my thoughts and see if anyone else had anything to add, and then I could expand on it. So, as a result of the Glorious Revolution of 1688, when the Protestant William the Orange replaced Catholic King James II in the mid-18th century, the Oddfellows, so this is saying the Oddfellows existed back then in 1688, even though before it's talking about the early 1700s being the creation of the Oddfellows. So again, I mean, if they're going to be a secret, they should at least keep their own records in order. Sounds like TPUSA. They split off and into the Order of the Patriotic Oddfellows, based in South England, supporting William. And the Ancient Order of Oddfellows, based on the North, favoring the Stuarts. So very bizarre. It's talking about a uprising in the Wikipedia article. You can Google this yourself and find it if you're interested. When you go to the original fraternity's website of the Independent Order of Oddfellows, and then the Grand United Order of Oddfellows. So the GUOOF. I don't know why the website says F. Maybe because the O's didn't make sense. But it says on their website that in 1988 or 1888 said the secret organizations are not creatures of this age. They date back to the time of the building of Noah's Ark, the building of the Tower of Babel, and Solomon's Temple. The Masonic fraternity from which springs this grand fraternity of ours is perhaps the oldest secret society. And it's weird. Oh, yes, I do agree we don't need to be scared of evil. The worst thing they can do is kill you. I mean, I know that sounds horrible, but like in a sense, that's kind of the whole point of being here. And they can't kill your soul as long as you don't sell it. So I do agree with you, Shimmerik, that is a very important thing. I think that the reason why I get sad is because I think about a lot of other people let fear drive their lives. And it's fear of not telling the truth, fear of not doing the right thing, fear of not being able to start over, fear of redacting the co-conspirators in the Epstein files because it would topple the whole system because those people control the banks. And I think that if you're more fearful of that, rather than humanity being able to live and being able to thrive because people want to promote this evil or act upon this evil, that is a very scary thing. And that's what I'm scared of. I'm not necessarily scared of the evil. I'm scared of everyone feeling like there's nothing we can do. Because I think a lot of people do feel that way. And I don't know. I could get into the whole legal jargon of everything else, but it's very interesting with the way that freedom of speech works and incitement of violence and how laws have changed or things have been weaponized and how if you tried to do anything, technically, depending on who's in charge, you could be arrested if bad actors were involved for incitement of violence to make change, even if that's not what you were promoting. So I think that it's a really weird, dangerous, slippery slope to be on if everyone's not on the same page. So this Order of Oddfellows is throughout the world. They have a Oddfellow village in Cambodia, which I found to be very interesting, very bizarre. And it talks about the Oddfellow Village at SOS Children's. And it's a testament to the Independent Order of Oddfellows' unwavering commitment to compassion and community. Since 2007, they've provided a nurturing haven for 150 vulnerable children, blending family care, education, and hope into a sanctuary shaped by our fellowship. Discover how our brotherhood transforms lives, one child at a time. I'm not going to say anything about that because I'm going to try to not throw up. But when you see the pictures that are on the website, on their public website, and then you look at the location of where this place is at, and you look at this location with people that are involved or possibly involved in this alleged secret society and some of the things other people have done that are involved in things like this, it is very alarming because on their website, it acts like this one in Cambodia is like their whole thing. They have a whole group of apartments and homes throughout America and Canada, in orphanages throughout Canada, from what I understand, Canada with the orphanages, for displaced people and people at risk, people that need help. On their website, they also, this was really weird. Marsh helped me find this. So I can't talk. Shout out to Marsh, who is hopefully not blocking everyone from the chat, but this might be the last time Marsh is a mod because he's being wild. She honestly shouldn't read anything I write. What did you write? I don't know what you wrote. So they have a whole pamphlet on their website about their Visual Research Foundation. And this is really interesting when you think about some of the other aspects of how I think this is all intertwined, because like Erika Kirk, I believe there are no coincidences. And on their pamphlet, it says seeing is believing. And this is about their eye research. It's straight off of their website on their documents. And Arizona is one of the jurisdictional and site places. They have 33 states and 4 Canadian provinces with contracts with the Oddfellows and the Rebecca's Visual Research Foundation for jurisdictional eye programs. I don't even know what that word means, jurisdictional eye programs. But I don't know why you would need jurisdiction for an eye program or a nonprofit. And that didn't make any sense to me when I'm looking at this whole thing. So it says big eye lamps. They have a big eye magnifier lamp available by contacting the Oddfellows and Rebecca's Visual Research Foundation Center. I do agree, eyesight is very important. But as we're told, Helen Keller was able to communicate and be a boss, allegedly, without sight or hearing. So do you really need sight? I mean, I think that it's important and I think that it's great, but when I'm reading this whole thing makes me feel really weird. And then going on, it talks about purchasing equipment for medical schools, eye banks, screening, operation of low vision clinics, mobile eye exam units, printing of Oddfellows and Rebecca's rituals in Braille, collecting eyeglasses for third world countries, sale and donations of big eye lamps, and large print ritual. So I assume these large print rituals and large print ritual Braille are for their fraternity, but it's really bizarre in all senses. Then you have this, and this is the people that are involved. Talks about seeing is believing, and the vision holds the sight to the key to sight. Our eyes are our contact with the world. To whatever degree we lose sight, we lose touch with our surroundings, and the quality of life is affected. Blindness is the most feared of all human disabilities. So I want you to look at these two doctors, and I'm not saying that these two doctors are guilty of anything, but I have very insane pattern recognition, and when I'm looking at these two doctors, what I do see here is that this Dr. Jampel is a graduate from Harvard and Yale. And we know somebody that has graduated from Harvard and Yale who's very famous right now and that people want you to stop talking about. Actually, he's not a graduate from Harvard and Yale, the person that I'm talking about. But he funded a lot at Harvard and Yale and Arizona State University, whether you knew it or not. And he was very into medical research and funding nonprofits and funding schools and funding people that were vulnerable for a lot of things. So, yes, we did have to redact a lot of faces. So what, is he being power mad still? Marsh, what are you doing? Why are you deleting the messages, Marsh? You're going to make people stop washing. I'm losing my voice. Oh my gosh. Yes, there are a lot of skull and bones pictured in this, and I do think that it's under the IOOF, based on what they're saying. Allegedly. But apparently it's a secret society that has a whole website kind of explaining the not so secret parts, but not all of it. You do see in here that this guy has the Harvard and Yale ties. I find it really interesting seeing this and thinking about the video on Erika Kirk's YouTube about an ophthalmologist that she always goes to, that she's known for a really long time. And I'm not making an allegation, but what I will say is the interaction that I saw with that man made me uncomfortable watching it in the way that he spoke about her. And Erika Kirk is maybe mid-teen, late teenager. I don't think she's 18 at the time of that video. Maybe she is, but I think that she's actually Miss Teen. I don't think she's Miss State yet. And the way that he interacts with her is something that I would not want to see as a parent, someone talking to my child in that way, is all I'm going to say about it. Um, and so this guy is very educated, all up in the research and all of that stuff. What I did find really interesting about this woman on the right is that she has a PhD in neuroscience. Who do we know that really likes to fund prestigious universities, and also I'm actually pretty sure was involved in Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine and funding? Who do we know that really likes neuroscience? Nobody knows. It's kind of like what what we like to talk about in the Rumble that I've been missing from because I've been prepping this. But Einstein really likes all of those things. So it's really weird. It's talking about fellowship and surgery and all of these other things. And then something that was really interesting Marsh brought up to me is that this gentleman right here looks a lot like a famous gentleman from the USA Gymnastics Association. Infamous man from the USA Gymnastics Association. So moving on. Oh my gosh, did my computer freeze actually? No, it didn't. I don't know what happened. Okay. So this is on their page, so you can see that they go in depth about this eye research. They're doing research and all of these other things. I find it really interesting, again, that these, oh, no fighting in the chat. No fighting in the chat. Sorry, I needed to drink. I am losing my voice because I'm like shouting. I need to stop shouting. I am not going to have a voice tomorrow. So thanks, Haas Know It. Okay. So, oh wait, I messed up. Your brain. I like your brain, Allie. Your brain needs to be okay, Allie. Your brain needs to be okay. 2 hours. Oh my gosh, it is 2 hours. I'm sorry. Thank you for tuning in if you're still here. If you're not here, I feel sorry for you. But, you know, we can't all be cool. We cannot all be cool. And not like the cool that we talked about when we were little, like the constipated, overweight, overdressed, loser cool, like the actual cool. We're the cool kids, okay? So going on their website, they have a bunch of these things of what they're focused on and what they're practicing. And they talk about truth as a basic guide for the ultimate destiny of all mankind. I find that to be very interesting because when we're talking about enlightenment and when we're talking about truth and we're talking about Charlie Kirk, and if Erika Kirk or Erika France Kirk was ever in this fraternity or any of these people were involved, this is an oxymoron. Like, their membership should be revoked 10 million years ago. This is impossible for them to even be on here. I don't know about what my live schedule is going to be. I have a lot of things I've been working on, so I think I'm just going to keep going live for a while. Maybe like I want to say every other day, but this was a lot of work to put this all in a PowerPoint. But I have a lot of it already prepped now that I think I know more of what I'm doing. But thank you, Marsh, for answering. And yes, I do think Wednesday nights will at least be. I don't want to go over when Baron and Candace are going. So I really like watching them. I watch them live every day. So the IOOF also has a Swedish history, which I found to be very interesting, talking about Northern Europe and how all of this is involved. And then it talks about more of these notable Oddfellows, a lot of dudes with beards, I was always told never trust a man with facial hair, but that's just a conspiracy theory, allegedly. So the Oddfellows make no special effort to attract named members, finding joy in warm personal bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood, not rubbing elbows with the famous. And then they talk about their legacies, a lot of presidents here, pioneers, and a lot of people And Sweden is literally mentioned in here. So P.T. Barnum to Gustav V of Sweden, a modern trailblazer. So interesting, because you keep going on. They have a militant group, which is actually the highest part of this order, which is interesting because if you're saying that you are not supposed to be political in any sense and that this IOOF group is a bipartisan group, you can't really be a militant group. You can, but you can't. But you have to have some political ideology to have some form of a military. So that's just crazy. Moving on to their symbolism. Ah, my camera moved. Sorry, hold on. I have to freeze it. Okay. So, moving on to Allie. What? Allie, are you banning people now? What is going on with you guys? So, moving on to the symbolism that you see throughout all of this, you can see that this one is the first one that I actually saw with all of these weird symbols, and I thought that it was really weird because there are numbers under each of these. And all I could think about is when you go to a Catholic garden, you see these numbers all over the place. And it's talking about a sequence of events. They're talking about their field being the world. This one, I don't even know what is going, like you're putting your seed down or something. That looks like a seed to me. Why is a child or whatever that is, a woman, a little woman? If Marsh has facial hair, we can't trust him. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know. I don't remember. I was told never trust a man with one eyebrow. I don't even know, like a unibrow, George? You don't trust anyone with a unibrow? Sorry, I'm getting warm. Okay, I look like Josh Hammer, remember? No, you don't. Josh Hammer is not allowed in this chat. So, that's what I'll say. Actually, he can be here because if he's in this group, I would like him to know that his group is weird. So, I don't know what I was going to say there. I had no plan. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about his horrible debate. So, this is weird. I don't know. There's like dudes in the background of this. If this is seeds and then dudes in the background looking the other way with someone putting a seed down. It doesn't look like they're putting a seed in the ground. So it's just weird in any sense of that. You see the chain links, all of this. You see the Bible. You see someone almost like a giant type figure crying. Someone else here. You see a woman whispering to the military. Again, they have these weird numbers under it. You see a man with a sword, kind of, I don't know what he's going to do with her, but it looks like maybe he's knighting her. I'm going to go on the positive side and say, oh, maybe he's, bestowing a great honor upon her. Or, there's another option there. I mean, there's someone kneeling down. Again, these weird hooks. This one's bizarre. You see people that look to be poor and a woman with her shirt ripped down. And someone else like doing laundry almost. I don't really know what's going on in this one. It kind of reminds me of like royal people and normal people. I don't like what's going on in this. You see a lot of children when you get into these. And this one is a man and a child. This one is another kid running away. I mean, these two smaller people look like children to me. And I don't know if this is a woman. I don't know if it's a man. But the two smaller people, I do feel like in this scene are very disgusting and disturbing, not knowing the full context. See a woman with her hand being held. Again, the women serving. People praying to an angel with fire. Someone bearing gifts. You see a woman over a man as he's sleeping with a weapon. I don't know how you could act like this is good in any sense. I mean, maybe if he's the dude from the other picture and her dress was the one that's down, but other than that, I don't think that there's really any reason for this to be a part of a positive secret society to our planet. A woman and a child again, men bowing, a child, a child through a crack with a parent. Again, that weird seed thing. I don't know. I don't like that one. Moving on, anyways. There's a lot of violent imagery. This is Marsh's summary. I make up words sometimes. Inappropriate imagery, according to Marsh. It is inappropriate. I agree. There's beehives and there's chain links. So it's weird. It's just all weird. This is also on their website. I can't see this and not think of Illuminati as soon as I think of the thing. I mean, you have the skull and bones, you have the chain, you have a weird tent, you have the all-seeing eye, you have the weird hand, you have a sword through the justice system. This is that one part of the symbolism earlier blown up with the woman over the you're going to time out the Oddfellows. Don't time out the Oddfellows. I do agree. Oh, she does have a hammer. I did not realize that. You're right. It's kind of like one of those pickaxes. Or I think that's what it's called. The thing that you use to hit a mallet, like. That is bizarre. I don't like it. I just don't like it. Marsh, we have I left these in all of them. So anyways, this is this one zoomed in again. It's a bigger version of it. The beehives there again. The daughter of Rebecca talks about the beehive, and I spoke on this earlier, being a representation of the cooperative industry, teaching and the advantages of the united efforts and the ministries of all of the order. So speaking of beehives, and I did see some comments on this, so you are correct. Beehives are very important in the state of Utah. So Utah's nickname is the Beehive State, symbolizing its pioneer spirit, hard work, and community, stemming from the Book of Mormon's deseret or honeybee. And its appearance on the state seal, flag, and buildings represents industry and cooperation. So the early Mormon settlers called the region the desert. Why does it say deseret? I don't know, but if I'm not saying that right, don't hold me to it. I was educated in the middle of 4 cornfields, okay? So fostering values of hard work and building a prosperous society. It was adopted as the official emblem in 1848 for the provisional state of the deseret. That literally says deseret. That's not desert. And then, yes, and you know what? You are correct, Marsh. If that's a railroad spike and a hammer, it's very weird to think about current allegations. Because what does a railroad do? It transports, and that's it. So, what are they transporting? Information? Money? The other things? I don't know. Eggstein transported lots of things, and it didn't start out with what was publicized. So it's interesting. It's on temples in Salt Lake City and buildings at Brigham Young's Beehive House. Salt Lake's magazine and BYU Studies talks about it. Beehive pharmacies are there. Beehive Senior Care, Deseret Hive Supply, Beekeeping uses the name. It's on a lot of physical features. I'm literally losing my voice, so I'm sorry if I'm getting more quiet. And then a distinct Navajo sandstone mountain formation with Zion National Park is also known about this. Their Facebook page. So also, if you're a secret society 101, if you ever create a secret society, let me tell you, unless you're just doing it for a tax write-off, which wasn't a thing at the time that this allegedly was created, you don't make social media. You don't have a website. There's no paper trail. It probably sails away with the last of its members like a U.S. Virgin Islands dentist office that is ghostly and only tied to an NPI but Eggstein owned. So you don't really put things digitally anywhere because the internet's forever. So it's really interesting when you're talking about their own Facebook having a picture of bees and a beehive. And it says, what are the Rebecca decrees symbols and what do they mean? The beehive is a representation of cooperative industry teaching the advantages of the united efforts in all the ministries of the order. And this is on their Facebook. I don't even know what to say to that. So what brings me back to this, and the whole point of why I think all of this is relevant, not just speaking about the photo with the hand and the heart, is there's been a lot of speculation, and I do plan to report on the tattoos next, but there's been a lot of speculation about a certain necklace that someone's wearing. The necklace is not seen all the time, and the necklace is seen in the video, I believe, where their engagement is announced, and it's seen a few other times. I believe Marsh referenced it on the Megyn Kelly show earlier with Erika Kirk. But we have a grandpa that passes away. Grandpa passes away in 2016, and his obituary literally says, do you remember that name earlier? Does anyone remember that name that we saw? Her grandpa was knighted by Carl Gustaf, the King of Sweden, for furthering Swedish in American relations. And he held the position of Grand Chief of the Independent Order of the Vikings from 1977 to 1979. And this was the grandpa that was the American manufacturer of the banknote, which is involved in quite a few international affairs. So again, we have this King Carl Gustaf that when you're looking, I'm going to go back just a little bit because I thought this was the craziest thing. I just dropped my microphone, sorry. Am I going to be able to find it? I swear Carl Gustaf was like right there. So awkward if he's not. All right, so it talks about Sweden here. Right there. Do you see what it says right there? From P.T. Barnum to King Gustaf V. So the Notable Oddfellows website is literally speaking about King Gustaf V of Sweden. And then we go back to an obituary after all this weird symbolism and all of the things that are going on. And we see that Erika Kirk's grandfather, Carl Kenneth Fransve, was knighted by Carl Gustaf, the King of Sweden. And yes, I don't know Roman numerals that well, so I'm assuming this guy, I mean, it's obviously not Carl Gustaf V, right? But it's a family member. And when you go back and you look at the historical context I went over, the women that were knighted into this IOOF, the Order of Oddfellows, and this odd group of people were knighted based on who they were married and related to. So when we're talking about the relevance of all of this, I've been diving into these metals and I've been diving into these agreements on the wall because I do think that they're very interesting when you look at the Order of the Oddfellows website and you look at a lot of the things that are involved in this. But what I think is the most interesting is this necklace we see. And people spoke about this a lot. And, so it's the 16th. So, okay. Well, it's still really weird because if you're talking about a king and Also, that's a lot of generations. I don't even know how you can go from the 5th to the 16th. I guess, yeah, because that guy was a long time ago. But it's just, that's crazy to think about from the early 1700s or whatever, that many generations can happen. I don't even know if unless you're like popping out a baby and they're popping out a baby every 5 minutes. I don't know. So, um, this necklace is something that I felt like was not correct that everyone kept speaking about. And the reason is because the shape did not make sense to me. When you're looking at this necklace and you're looking at the curves of this necklace and you're looking at the symbol and you're looking at what it is, these are the best photos I could get of this necklace. So if anyone can get me better photos of this necklace, wants to DM me, wants to email me, or anything else, I do think this is very relevant to a part of this story because this group is a group of odd people they're talking about. They have militant groups, they have military ties. We're talking about politicians, we're talking about presidents, we're talking about important people for generations that are bestowing this group and these contacts against and for their own family members. It's weird. Why would a granddaughter, who is not the only granddaughter, be the one given a necklace from her grandfather like that? Why would it not be a parent? I don't know. So it's a little bit weird unless more than just a necklace was being passed down. If more than just a necklace was being passed down, I can understand why this makes sense. And this right here on the bottom left here is actually a screenshot from their website. They have whole PDFs of all of the jewelry that they have on their website. And it's very clear to me that when you're looking at the shape of this and you're looking at the shape of this necklace and you're looking at the figure on top of the necklace, it does not make sense with the photo that everyone kept sharing of what it is of being the Knight of Malta. There's even a cross, or not a cross, there's a crown charm holding this to her neck. So when I'm looking at their symbolism and I'm looking at their PDFs and everything else, I see this as my family member was knighted this award by a royal person. The specific award is a past commandment badge. And this is the page that it's from. It's from page 40 of one of their lists. It says price list. I didn't see the price, so can't tell you how much it is. I don't think you can just buy it without being a member. But I think that this is what this necklace is. And obviously that's speculation. This entire video is speculation because it's allegedly a secret group that, gets people to wear some symbols, has websites, is posting all up on their Facebook and everything else they have, and gives you a list of their jewelry. But over here in the middle is what people were saying that she was wearing on her neck. And I see a few problems with this. And the problem I see with this is when you're looking at this, I do see a crown, okay? But the crown's literally connected to the clover part of this. It's not a clover, but anyways, her necklace has a circle in the middle of it, just like what I see on that IOOF charm. It's also held there by a cross, and the cross is obviously almost like separate. This has 3 different parts. This does not. So yes, maybe it's a cross of the Knight of Magistral Grace from Malta. I don't know what's very graceful that a grandfather would do. So, in his obituary, he specifically talks about this Scandinavian, or not Scandinavian, but the Order of the Vikings. And I could find an article that I'm going back to here in Chicago, where the banknote job and newspaper clippings and everything else are from, that talks about this more in depth. talking about the northwestward migration of Scandinavians, similarities in language and cultures, encouraging them to stick together throughout parts of town and still show more prominent influence by one or another group, which I found to be interesting if we're being bipartisan and everything else. I don't know what influence you would want to have. The Danes occupied the area surrounding North Avenue, while Logan Square and Humboldt Park became Swedish and Norwegian enclaves. And it's talking about all of these places in Chicago. Has pictures of buildings and a temple. And it talks about the International Encyclopedia of Societies of Fraternal Orders, speaking about the IOV, which is the International Order of Vikings, as an ethnic fraternal insurance benefit association, which I do want to dive more into because there is a big part of this story that's missing from someone else that has not been spoken about a lot, that has parents that work in insurance and have parents that work in insurance with people that seem to be the same ethnicity of the last place Charlie Kirk visited before Utah. So this fraternal order is for Swedish Americans and those married to either group. You can see here, there's even like a cute little, I don't know, I called it cute. A cute little dragon boat, kind of cute. Talks about a bachelor's room. So 11 Sweden immigrant men established the organization in June of 1890 at 86 Sedgwick Street, no longer existent, in what is described in the club's history as a bachelor room. I wonder what bachelors do in a room. I'm not sure because I'm not a dude, but sounds weird. Swelling with ethnic pride and perhaps feeling a bit butch, they dubbed themselves the Vikarn, I can't say that, Swedish for Vikings. By June of 1891, the organization was doing so well with more than 234 members. Sounds huge for a secret group. It costs $2 to join with a quarter each month for dues. In return, you earn $3 for sickness and $50 for funeral expenses. Interesting that there was a insurance group back then. You got, oh my gosh. I just read the chat. You guys are wild. So, they have weird hats. I feel like I have to say that because, my camera, sorry. I don't want you guys to see how messy my office is, actually. Hold on. Stop it. I have all of my purses on one, I'm a purse girl. And I have all my purses on one side and a bunch of books on my other side. And I've been going through the past few years because I wanted to understand what was going on in the Middle East. I've been going through a history deep dive for a very long time. And I have a lot of books that are all over the place from every country, from every type of leader, because I wanted the most bipartisan view of the issue, reading it from each type of country's point of view and everything else, and I just don't really want that in the background because I don't want to offend anyone. I don't know why that would be offensive. If reading offends you, go touch some grass. But so these guys have weird hats. We know a lot of people with some interesting hats that are kind of suspicious. That's all I'm going to say, are kind of suspicious. So, this is a picture diving more into, the Chicago article, and the source is up here. This is a picture of the men that allegedly were very big in it and talks about some people. I mean, I don't think it's super relevant. These are the ladies, and if I had to pick the type of funeral I do think a Viking funeral would be super cool. Like, you guys could just, like, send me out to sea. I really like shark diving, and the one way I would like to go out if I got to pick would be swimming with sharks. I love swimming with sharks. I prefer it cageless. I think it's actually a lot more fun cageless. And the ocean is my happy place, even though I live in the middle of cornfields. And I just think a Viking funeral would be the coolest way to go. Or just being, ate in one bite. I just think that that'd be cool. Sharks usually won't eat you anyways. Humans are a lot more scary, as we've seen, because most people sweat. So you don't taste good. That's why sharks take one bite out of people that are acting like prey and acting silly in the water and not acting like they are the top of the food chain, which we are. And then obviously, like what happened in Egypt when someone's flailing around, like when a dog chases you and you run, the animal's going to chase you. Like it's just nature. I don't know. So I do love sharks. Sharks are my favorite thing in the universe. I actually have a tiger shark jaw on my kneecap. Um, this is everything I have for today, but I do see Allie's comment here. The first time I went shark diving, I went in a cage. The second time I went shark diving, I went cageless. And we went in July, and it's tiger shark season. And we were on the north shore of Oahu, and we're there, and the people start freaking out a little bit because we get in the water and there's tiger sharks. They're not Galapagos sharks, and I don't think that they prepared for it fully. Like, I don't think they had enough safety divers to feel comfortable with it. And it was I know that they were stressed. It was the best time of my life that I ever had. And I've never felt more at peace. I am an adrenaline junkie. Okay. So I feel like that's kind of important here. I hated skydiving. Never do that again. It's actually very dangerous. I won't go zip lining because I think it's pointless. And I think that that's kind of a weird sense of adrenaline. I love driving fast. My name is Dominique. I tell everyone my name is Dom. I used to introduce myself, my name's Dom, like, and shake my hand like Fast and Furious to like be funny. But I do kind of drive like Toretto. I just don't shift my car that much because I don't know how to drive a manual. But I have never felt more at peace and more at home than in that water with those tiger sharks. And they are the most beautiful creatures up close. They are just so magnificent. And it changed my life seeing them up close. And I just love the ocean. I got scuba certified a few years ago. That was actually the worst thing I've ever done in my life, I think. I know that sounds silly, okay? But I'm 5'2", and scuba gear weighs a lot. Okay. And you also snot a lot in the water. If you live in the Midwest and you're doing it in the winter and you're doing it in a pool and you have to like practice clearing your mask a bunch and like literally breathing out, like the amount of snot that was in this pool, not just for me. So I'm not even trying to be weird about it. I almost didn't go back. My sister actually did not go back. I had to finish myself. So it's a little bit embarrassing. The reason why I actually have a tiger shark jaw tattooed on my knee, and I think I said that a little bit ago. When we went shark diving that day, we get out of the water, and the people say that we saw a shark named Nikki, and we saw two of them, but the one was named Nikki, and my name is Dominique, and my family calls me Nikki. They've called me Nikki since I was a little kid. I actually used to get in trouble in kindergarten because I would write Nikki on my papers instead of Dominique, because a 9-letter word in kindergarten is a lot harder to write when you're learning certain things than Nikki. And I would write Nikki at home. I mean, that's how everyone knew me. That's my family still calls me that. They started calling me Dom, which I do find a little bit annoying because I'm Nikki to them. If my family sees this, y'all better stop it and start calling me Nikki again. But we saw Queen Nikki that day in the water, and it was with One Ocean Diving, and they spoke about, my camera, that is not fun. I need to stop talking with my hands. I need to disable that. But they said that, and they have a lot of stories about Hawaiian history and everything else, and the history in Hawaii is beautiful. Kauai is my favorite place in the entire world, and shark diving is really great on Oahu, yes, but I could spend the rest of my life on the Nepali coast of Kauai, and I would never want to leave. And I love hiking. I love the island of Kauai with all my heart. I love shave ice so much. And no, it does not have a D. Don't correct me on that. Hawaiian doesn't have the letter D. So my name in Hawaiian is technically like Amanique. So my family just better get used to calling me Nikki again, I guess, if I ever move there. Um, but they said that the sharks used to greet the people that had the same name as them, and it's happened to them time and time again, and it was the craziest thing, and it was just like a full circle moment that I had, and it was very cool. I like to talk about it a lot, and so I have a tiger shark jaw on my kneecap, and funny enough, I've told people I'm not scared of sharks, I'm not scared of tiger sharks, and we were in the Bahamas on a boat trip, and the captain told me that his friend, I don't know if his friend got attacked in almost, 86th by a tiger shark, but someone was baiting a tiger shark, and baiting sharks. And baiting is very, very bad. You should never bait. Okay. That's the silliest thing. It messes with animal senses and everything else. It's very inhumane. Um, and it teaches the animals that Pavlov effect you learn about in school. Psychology is not always a great thing. So his friend got attacked, almost, gone. And I was sitting there talking about how cool tiger sharks were and everything else. And it was probably the most follow-up awkward thing that I've ever talked about to tiger sharks, because he did not like tiger sharks. So, but he was a cool guy. He also killed some pirates. It was the wildest story. Well, okay. I say that he didn't say it, but he said it without saying it. It was very interesting. I don't even remember. I do have his name saved in my phone because he was our boat captain like 2 days in a row. And we were at this small island in the Bahamas called Eleuthera. And he was from the Spanish Wells. It starts with a T. And he was talking about he's been a boater or fisherman for all of his life. And he was talking about how these people, I don't know what country they were from. I forget. So I'm not going to speculate. They were throwing fire B words, the word you don't say at an airport, at their boat. Like, no reason. They were doing illegal fishing. It was the wildest thing. So our boat captain is talking about how he tied these people up and all this stuff. And he goes into this great detail. And then he stops talking and looks at us for a second. And you knew what happened next, kind of, without knowing what happened next, because he said that the police came and everything else. I'm not convinced that happened, but I also didn't feel unsafe. But we all talked about it when we left, and it was really weird. So it was a really weird experience. He's the best guy ever. If you ever want to go to Eleuthera, it is such a beautiful, off the beaten path kind of place. That's my type of vacation. I love a certain amount of people, but I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't like being around people all the time. So I'm an introvert as much as I am an extrovert, and I like to recoup, recharge, refresh on my own or not around a lot of people. And it's not comfortable to me to be in a crowd. So I like that small town feel. A lot of this was put together with the help of Charlie Goes Max. You can go follow him on X. I call him Marsh, but now I'm wondering if his name is different on X, because Allie is saying in the chat that his name is different on X again. And oh, Allie, I didn't know you've been to Eleuthera. Yes, Eleuthera is the best ever. And I actually look at real estate there quite a bit because I feel like I could live there. I don't know if I could do the Spanish Wells because there's just so many people there. I definitely could not do Harbor Island. And throughout a lot of the things that have came out, my husband and I have spoken a lot about the fact of the islands that are close by and how I would never feel comfortable letting my kids go anywhere alone on Eleuthera, knowing that Harbor Island is right there and that Harbor Island is known as a rich man's playground and that there are a lot of boats coming in and out and a lot of interesting people. Our boat captain talked about Mr. Beast being down there, and he had some not so nice things to say about Mr. Beast and how rude he was. And then there was another guy. Oh, Nicolas Cage used to have an island down there, and I think he sold it when he went bankrupt or something. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I'm telling the story. He ended up abandoning his island. He always was down there with young women. Young women. He was always down there with young women. And he meets like our boat captain at the bar, and our boat captain introduces himself, says his name. He calls him like buddy or something, bro or something, and I say that word all the time. And he says, "My name is Nicolas Cage." That is what he said to someone else trying to buy him a beer in a bar in the middle of freaking nowhere in the ocean. And that's when I was like, I knew that there was something wrong with that man. I never was a fan of that man. So, it is. Pink Sands Beach is amazing, and it is billionaire's paradise. But it's weird because Eleuthera has a lot of pink sand beaches too. And people only talk about Harbor Island having the pink sand beaches. So Harbor Island, we didn't end up going. We were supposed to go. We went to the Spanish Wells, and actually the place where it was very involved in the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's a private island right there that our boat captain knows the person that owns it, and you could actually go into a shelter that was one of those places. Had a huge spider, so go at your own risk. But I didn't know places like Eleuthera still existed until I went there. Because I've never seen so much coral. I've never seen so much sea life. My camera is moving again. I need to stop moving this thing. And I am a shell girl. I will go and just look at shells, and I will just snorkel all day. I got my family into snorkeling. So like even my parents will be out there. Our whole backs will be sunburnt. Everything's sunburnt, even though we're putting on sunscreen all day, because we will literally turn into raisins before we come inside. We just don't believe in it. It does. It has some in the middle, like the north side too. On the side we stayed on, the east side of the island. And we stayed in the Governor's Harbor area, and it's not as pink as the other ones, but there's definitely some pink sand beaches there. They do have a really big sand problem. It's really weird. Oh, thank you, Shimmer. I don't know. Shimmerek. Am I saying that right? Shimmerek. Nicolas Cage has one eyebrow. No, I don't know it. I'm going to Google that right now. Nicolas Cage eyebrows. Bro, he kind of does have one eyebrow here. How do I... Oops, hold on. He definitely is a unibrow. Hold on. Eyebrow, unibrow. I have lost my voice so badly. This is such a bad picture. I shouldn't have Googled unibrow. I mean, he's definitely getting that thing waxed. For sure. I'm trying to find an old picture with it. Hold on, let me go to that first one because it showed it. Why is Taylor Lautner coming up? I don't even know what that has to do with anything. Oh, wow. Opening a new tab. Someone just has a whole thing of Nicolas Cage on Pinterest. I'm not really sure what to think of this, but I'm going to pull it up real quick, and this will be the last thing. Thank you if you're still here, or if you've been here at all, or if you're here later. I don't know if Nicolas Cage will make it into the chat, but here, so sharing. All right, media full screen. All right, add. I'm getting used to this. I started using OBS this week. Screen capture. Make source visible. No, I don't want to do it that way. I actually don't even know how to do this. Screen capture. Browser. Okay. Okay, don't want that. Okay, I think I might have figured it out. I figured it. Oh man. Log in to see more. I am logged in. Okay. So what I am going to do is actually media full screen is go over here and I'm going to cheat. If it'll let me, I'm going to just copy this picture of Nicolas Cage in here. Or I might have to do it next time because I think my computer might be frozen over there. It's definitely frozen, I think. Okay, so I cannot actually pull up Nicolas Cage. That's embarrassing. I will include a picture of Nicolas Cage next time, and I do plan on going live Wednesday. I did plan on doing a story tomorrow or Tuesday. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. I have almost lost my voice. Sorry, I'm not putting my hand up because I want a heart on my hand. Full disclosure, I do not want a heart on my hand or in my hand. I never want to hold a heart in my hand ever. But I am going to head to bed. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here at all, especially if you watched Baron or whoever sent you here. If you like the content and you would like to like this or share it and subscribe, that would mean the world to me. I like to chat. And if you like to listen to chatting, this is the place for you. If you don't like to listen to that and you don't like to make your brain hurt, this is probably not the place for you, but it's okay because I'm not for everybody. And I've had to learn that throughout my life. And if I'm not for you, I'm not going to be offended by it. If you are offended by that, you know, life's hard. Get a helmet because I don't know. I'm sorry. I had to quote Candace Owens there. Thank you for coming again. Thank you, Allie, I found your Pinterest. Marsh, you have a whole Pinterest of Nicolas Cage. It was not one of your usernames, I promise, but if that's you, that is funny. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming at all. And go watch that full video on Allie's channel if you haven't seen it about Herbert City and Utah. I think it's very relevant here. Go back to the beginning of the live stream if you would like to see more about the Rebecca order because I don't think my thing's going to let me go back. So I would pull up the hands again, but it is frozen. And thank you for being here. Thank you, George, for being here. Thank you, Shimerick. Thank you, Faith, Hope, Love, 894. Good night. And just remember, you can make a difference every day that you are here. So you should always try to make a difference in a positive way. And remember that good will prevail and evil will always fail. So, Nicolas Cage is the son of... Is he really? No way. Are you joking? I'm going to have to... The nephew... Like the Coppola wine people, I used to manage Olive Gardens. So when I think of Coppola, I think of the wine company. Francis Ford Coppola. Oh, the eyebrows on this man. What is this? So I go to the dude's thing and not knocking him at all. But I see a rainbow. I've never even seen something like this. I'm acting like my mom trying to show me the screen. What is that? Yeah, it does say he's a film director. He has interesting eyebrows as well. Oh, that lady has nice cheekbones. Is that his daughter? I hope that's his daughter. It better be his daughter. Oh, you're right, dude. There is Nicolas Cage and Francis Coppola, who I don't know. I'm acting like my mom again. And Francis Coppola, the film director. So no wonder that Nicolas Cage got his start in Hollywood. I always wondered that with his acting. Thought that, maybe he could have went to the Deering acting studio with someone else's acting skills that we see a lot in Arizona. So, The Godfather. My mom and my uncle who passed away really loved The Godfather and also loved the Sopranos show that followed it. Actually, I'm working on a theory. It's crazier than anything. I mean, it's kind of involving a lot of things that I do think are very relevant. The reason why I think a lot of those things are relevant, and I'll probably cut this out so you guys can see it, and you better not steal it and run with it without quoting me. But there's this book of someone that's super involved in TPUSA. And this book is called Hillbilly Eulogy. Does anyone know who wrote this book? It's the person that wants to be the next president of the United States of America. And in this book, there is some very interesting names that pop up of people in Ohio and father figures in Ohio. And when we're speaking about some recent redacted names of people that are in Ohio and who lived in a small town in Ohio and who has a very omitted family past like these people in Ohio, and the other main people in Ohio also being very involved in a crime family, and some of the same copy and paste things when we look at the timeline of someone being introduced to someone in 2018, officially dating in 2019 when someone else gets arrested, and the way that money moves in these circles, I do think that it's a lot more related than anyone thinks. Marsh, I have been saying that since day one. I was not just those weird side-by-side photos. I think that a lot of rumors and conspiracy theories do have some truth to them. So that book is sus. It is sus, but J.D. Vance literally wrote his book. So I don't think you would write your own book and say, I'm going to wait till I can do it on a full video because I feel like I need to hold the page open, show you like a child. But I also have a book. I don't know if any of you know, and I don't know if my stuff's going to unplug when I do this. I don't know if any of you know that Kash Patel is also an author, and I bought one of his books recently. And he has this book that is a children's book, actually. And I don't know if I will get in trouble for doing it, so I need to look up the rules. But Kash Patel literally has a book, like a children's book, about the plot against the king. And when you look at the book and the plot against the king and the drawings and everything else in this book, Who's on the title of this? This is on Amazon. It's a real book. I wish I was not joking either. And the whole book is a political story about someone stealing or plotting against the king. And I can't help but think, because the information didn't fully come out until recently, last summer, about what happened and when that person had a role, that this person spent more time writing a children's book about what was going on than catching the actual criminals that had a plot against an alleged king that looks a lot like our president. So, you know, I don't know. Powerful people always write their books to reframe their history. Can't believe all what they say. I do agree with that. I'm not saying the part about the book about his own. I'll go into it more in depth. I'm not talking about what he claims about himself. I'm talking about names of people he's involved with at that time that are very relevant to who he later is involved with in Arizona. And I do think you're right, George. A lot of people rewrite history. Benjamin Netanyahu's father actually helped write the Jewish Encyclopedia too, which was rewriting parts of Jewish history in America. That's why his family was in the United States. That's why someone has said before, and I knew this because I've done a dive on wanting to understand the relationships between world leaders and where that started and stopped. And he lived in Philadelphia. And he actually took classes at Harvard at the same time of going to MIT, I think, or Yale. And he got a degree in architecture or something insane, like in 2.5 years, because he had to go back to fight a war. I'm not joking. His resume is like literally up on the internet. I will go over it because it's relevant to a theory I'm working on of who I think. I have it recorded, but I'm going to do it live because pre-recorded, I'm not a script kind of person. I actually didn't have a script for any of this. And I've realized that through trying to be perfect and have a script. So I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. I'm not going to pretend like I'm perfect. I'm going to screw up all the time. So that's just how it's going to be. And I don't think Jeffrey Epstein is actually Jeffrey Epstein. And I think that it relates to a lot of this story. So I hope that you guys have a good night. I'm actually going to go for real this time, but I am from the Midwest, so you're welcome for the Midwest goodbye on this lovely Sunday evening. And if you're still here, thank you for listening to my word vomit. If you're not still here, thank you for also listening at all. If you weren't here at all, you know, God bless you and good riddance. Talk to you all later. Thank you. I will dive into the books, George. Thank you for coming. And thank you if I know you from another channel, however I know you. Thank you for coming and commenting. And Brew, I see you in here. I just saw that. I'm so sorry that I just saw that. We are now friends on whatever that app is that I've learned how to use recently. Thanks to Marsh and Allie. Discord. I'm so old. When I first tried to use Discord, it was too much for me. And then I got a computer with Discord and it was better. Thank you, Faith, Hope, Love for being here. And I will talk to you all later. Bye.